Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing, where today we will be continuing to read Aesop's Fables. So, let's get going. The Man Who Lost His Spade. A man was engaged in digging over his vineyard, and one day on coming to work he missed his spade. Thinking it may have been stolen by one of his labourers, he questioned them closely, but they one and all denied any knowledge of it. He was not convinced by their denials, and insisted that they should all go to the town and take oath in a temple that they were not guilty of the theft. This was because he had no great opinion of the simple country deities, but thought that the thief would not pass undetected by the shrewder gods of the town. When they got inside the gates, the first thing they heard was the town crier, proclaiming a reward for information about a thief who had stolen something from the city temple. "Well," said the man to himself, "it strikes me I had better go back home again. If these town gods can't detect the thieves who steal from their own temples, it's scarcely likely they can tell me who stole my spade." The Partridge and the Fowler. A fowler caught a partridge in his nets, and was just about to wring its neck, when it made a piteous appeal to him to spare its life, and said, "Do not kill me, but let me live, and I will repay you for your kindness by decoying other partridges into your nets." "No," said the fowler, "I will not spare you. I was going to kill you anyhow, and after that treacherous speech you thoroughly deserve your fate." The Runaway Slave. A slave, being discontented with his lot, ran away from his master. He was soon missed by the latter, who lost no time in mounting his horse and setting out in pursuit of the fugitive. He presently came up with him, and the slave, in the hope of avoiding capture, slipped into a treadmill and hid himself there. "Aha," said his master, "that's the very place for you, my man." The Hunter and the Woodman. A hunter was searching in the forest for the tracks of a lion, and catching sight presently of a woodman engaged in felling a tree, he went up to him and asked him if he had noticed a lion's footprints anywhere about, or if he knew where his den was. The woodman answered, "If you will come with me, I will show you the lion himself." The hunter turned pale with fear, and his teeth chattered as he replied, "Oh, I am not looking for the lion, thanks, but only for his tracks." The Serpent and the Eagle. An eagle swooped down upon a serpent and seized it in his talons with the intention of carrying it off and devouring it. But the serpent was too quick for him and had its coils around him in a moment, and then there ensued a life-and-death struggle between the two. A countryman who was a witness of the encounter came to the assistance of the eagle and succeeded in freeing him from the serpent and enabling him to escape. In revenge, the serpent spat some of his poison into the man's drinking horn. Heated with his exertions, the man was about to slake his thirst with a draught from the horn, when the eagle knocked it out of his hand and spilled its contents upon the ground. One good turn deserves another. The Rogue and the Oracle. A rogue laid a wager that he would prove the oracle at Delphi to be untrustworthy by procuring from it a false reply to an inquiry by himself. So he went to the temple on the appointed day with a small bird in his hand, which he concealed under the folds of his cloak, and asked whether what he held in his hand were alive or dead. If the oracle said dead, he meant to produce the bird alive. If the reply was alive, he intended to wring its neck and show it to be dead. But the oracle was one too many for him, for the answer he got was this: "Stranger, whether the thing that you hold in your hand be alive or dead is a matter that depends entirely on your own will." The Horse and the Ass. A horse, proud of his fine harness, met an ass on the high road. As the ass with his heavy burden moved slowly out of the way to let him pass, the horse cried out impatiently that he could hardly resist kicking him to make him move faster. The ass held his peace, but did not forget the other's insolence. Not long afterwards the horse became broken-winded, and was sold by his owner to a farmer. One day, as he was drawing a dung-cart, he met the ass again, who in turn derided him and said, "Aha! You never thought to come to this, did you? You who were so proud. Where are all your gay trappings now? The dog chasing a wolf. A dog was chasing a wolf, and as he ran he thought what a fine fellow he was, and what strong legs he had, and how quickly they covered the ground. Now there's this wolf, he said to himself. What a poor creature he is. He's no match for me, and he knows it, and so he runs away. But the wolf looked round just then and said, Don't you imagine I'm running away from you, my friend? It's your master I'm afraid of. Grief and his due. When Jupiter was assigning the various gods their privileges, it so happened that Grief was not present with the rest, but when all had received their share, he too entered and claimed his due. Jupiter was at a loss to know what to do, for there was nothing left for him. However, at last he decided that to him should belong the tears that are shed for the dead. Thus it is the same with Grief as it is with the other gods. The more devoutly men render to him his due, the more lavish he is of that which he has to bestow. It is not well, therefore, to mourn long for the departed, else Grief, whose sole pleasure is in such mourning, will be quick to send fresh cause for tears. The hawk, the kite, and the pigeons. The pigeons in a certain dovecote were persecuted by a kite, who every now and then swooped down and carried off one of their number. So they invited a hawk into the dovecot to defend them against their enemy, but they soon repented of their folly, for the hawk killed more of them in a day than the kite had done in a year. The woman and the farmer. A woman who had lately lost her husband used to go every day to his grave and lament her loss. A farmer, who was engaged in ploughing not far from the spot, set eyes upon the woman and desired to have her for his wife. So he left his plough and came and sat by her side and began to shed tears himself. She asked him why he wept, and he replied, I have lately lost my wife, who was very dear to me, and tears ease my grief. And I, said she, have lost my husband. And so for a while they mourned in silence. Then he said, Since you and I are in like case, shall we not do well to marry and live together? I shall take the place of your dead husband, and you that of my dead wife. The woman consented to the plan, which indeed seemed reasonable enough, and they dried their tears. Meanwhile a thief had come and stolen the oxen which the farmer had left with his plough. On discovering the theft, he beat his breast and loudly bewailed his loss. When the woman heard his cries, she came and said, Why are you weeping still? Why are you weeping still? To which he replied, Yes, and I mean it this time. Prometheus and the making of man. At the bidding of Jupiter, Prometheus set about the creation of man and the other animals. Jupiter, seeing that mankind, the only rational creatures, were far outnumbered by the irrational beasts, bade him redress the balance by turning some of the latter into men. Prometheus did as he was bidden, and this is the reason why some people have the forms of men, but the souls of beasts. That's pretty apt. The troll and the blind man. An old blind man was drawing water from a well. A young troll sat beside him and picked a flower apart. When the bucket came up from below, a spider leapt out of it and onto the troll's nose. The troll screamed in disgust. The old blind man, not seeing what was the cause for all this, asked for the reason of the troll's scream. A monster came out of the well, and unto my nose, replied the troll. The old blind man laughed and said, There are far worse things hidden in the depths of this well than monsters of any kind. He went away and left the young troll with his new fears. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We've seen this. The troll and the blind man are up on the surface. It's another one of the... Okay, that's pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting little tidbit there. So you've got the troll and the blind man from Aesop's Fables. And, what was the other one from? I think it was just from Poems too, wasn't it? Yeah, you've got the king. I think. Yeah. Waits in the chamber deep and slumbers. And then you've got... Pretty good, actually. Huh. Well, I'm pleased with finding that out. I'm going to leave it at that. That's quite a good one to end on. The Troll and the Blind Man. Well, secret hidden there. Well done, Dev. Well done. I approve. I heartily approve. I wonder if there's going to be any more little doodads like that. Huh. What do you know? Well, anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, or night. No matter what time of day it is, I hope you have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.